Welcome back to the Rubberducking podcast.
That's right. It's been a hot minute. Thank you so much, listeners, for being patient with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite a hot minute.
Well, you want to talk about what you've been up to?
Yeah. Actually, let's talk about that for a minute. So I've been quite busy with I guess like a content creation, I guess, in a way, right?
All kinds of
It's
stuff.
like all kinds of like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. I've been going out in the street, and actually I've been going live a lot on TikTok.
That's
and,
right.
Getting a really good engagement on there as well. Like, it's fun to see when people ask me questions, like in both like, in person, they call it now IRL, right? In real life.
That's right.
In real life, and also on the online. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
I've been quite enjoying answering people's questions, and like it brings me joy when I realize that you come to me with questions, but you go away with answers and knowing much more about North Korea.
Wow,
right?
what a
So
great
that's-
teacher.
Right, I mean that's like that brings me joy, and that's why I keep wanting to like keep coming back to this. Essentially, that's what I've been doing.
Well,
How about you, Mike? What you been up to?
Well,
My
I mean,
co-host.
I'm a teacher, so anytime
Right.
a academic term ends, there's a bit of a transitionary thing. Things get really busy and then really quiet, and my family is also out of town right now, so I didn't know what to do with my life, and I just filled myself with other commitments and yeah, those things. But speaking of keep coming back to this, you just mentioned right before we started filming that was yesterday, or was it
That's
today?
Right, yesterday.
All right,
is
can you guess,
our-
listeners?
Yeah, can you guys guess what it is?
It's our Rubberducking podcast anniversary.
The first year of the anniversary. So
Amazing.
Congratulations, Mike.
Oh,
We've
congrats,
made it to
Charles.
1 year.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and thank you so much, our listeners, for
Absolutely.
listening to our podcast.
Can't do it without you.
And coming back to us. Yeah, for sure. All right. So, Mike, what episode are we in? I think we lost track of the episodes now, but
Right.
I guess like my story is pretty much out there, right? There's 35 episodes, and I think
Wow.
37 now episode of like my story. So
Uh-huh.
so why don't we do this? I feel
Okay.
like at this point we can just like smoothly transition out telling my story, but we can transition in to
Uh-huh.
talking about the real Rubberducking podcast, right?
That's right. And that's not to say that we've been telling you fake news. It's absolutely
right.
we're not telling fake news. It's just that on our very first episode, we talked about how we're
yeah, that's right.
we are going to talk about issues not to necessarily find solutions, but to gain insights, just like you would use a rubber duck to debug. As a debugging technique.
That's
so,
right.
And in order for us to do that, we got to talk about some of the relevant current issues. So
That's
we're going
right.
to transition into that.
That's right. That's
Finally,
what I meant.
after 1 year. And not that hearing your story was not interesting, but
yeah.
Well, so thank you, listeners.
Yeah, thank you so much, listeners, for following along, and it was an incredible journey, to be honest.
Absolutely.
It was very rocky at times, and talking about emotional.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was
heavy topics.
Yeah, it was heavy topics, but I mean, nonetheless, it was a meaningful and it was fulfilling journey that we both took. So thank you, Mike. I wanted to officially thank you on this on this
Ooh,
podcast.
on the record. Wow, I've been
Yeah,
officially
thanks
thanked. Well, it is absolutely my pleasure.
Thanks for being a co-host with me.
Mhm.
So all right, so today I kind of wanted to talk about like slang, right? In North Korea,
Ooh.
like what kind of words, right, or saying could get you in trouble,
All right.
right?
Okay.
Like and I was actually wondering. So I'm gonna say this in Korean first, and
Sure.
then we can translate that into
Yeah. All right. Let's try
English.
that.
So in Korean, I guess kind of like saying is 짧은 혀 때문에 김목이 날아간다.
That sounds very North Korean. Okay, let's translate that.
Yeah.
So because of the short tongue, your long neck
Will
gets
get cut
chopped off.
Yeah, get cut off. I'm sorry. Wow, what a start.
Strong
right?
start. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll give
but-
you that.
But did you know that? Is that something like in South Korea, or is it just North Korean?
Oh, here's what I've heard in South Korean thing. Something that I hope I'm saying this right is 새치혀가 천리 간다 or something like that. Like like 3-inch tongue goes. I feel like I'm remembering that wrong, but oh no. This is sorry. I mixed up the two things. 새치어가 천냥빚도 갚는다. I think that's what it was. Have you heard of that one?
I have not.
Okay, so like 3-inch tongue can
Repay
repay, right? Yeah,
right, yeah, repay
pay
the
off
debt,
thousands of dollars of debt.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like here's the thing. Like in North Korea, like I'm not trying to generalize like we, right? Like we means like royal we, like just like my family
I
or
see,
like
gotcha.
a my
You mean it
friends
more
group.
narrowly. Okay.
Yeah, more narrowly. I'm not generalizing, but when we say like those kind of things, it literally means like you could die if you say certain things wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like
right.
like to begin with, right? So
That's
like
right.
example A is you talking about the North Korean regime in a way. Not it doesn't have to be like the regime, right? But like even talking bad about like the local government.
Wow.
Like, if you say something, oh yeah, I like it's such a non-thinkable thing that like we don't even think non-thinkable thing that we don't even think about thinking about it. You know what I mean? Sorry. So I mean, like here is one thing relates to that though. Like not thinking about like talking bad about the regime. Like I've heard when I was in North Korea, like the public executions.
Yeah.
Right. It's still a thing. When I was in Pyeongganam-do Suncheon시, like two public executions held in place. Right. I think I talked about that. So
and you were not there personally. Is that
I
right?
was not there in person, but my friend was there, and he was telling me about it. But
yeah.
here's the thing: because like there were so many public executions in North Korea,
Yeah.
they used to not gag them, right?
The people who are getting executed?
Yeah, people who are getting executed, they did not gag them. They just blindfolded them and then put them on a post, right? And of course, like they like.
Are they supposed to be gagged?
No, they're not. Well, I was getting there actually.
Oh, okay,
The
sure.
reason why they gagged is because right before they get shot, they were shot out. It's like I hate Kim Jong Un, Kim Jong Il,
right?
Like they are, like you're a dictator, and
that's right.
and
They'll
all
badmouth the regime.
bad mouthing
yeah,
the regime and last words. And remember, hundreds of people are
there.
actually watching them getting, and it's mandatory, right?
You're
allowed.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be there, and if you're a child, especially in high school, like a middle school, you have to watch it.
Especially if you're a child.
Especially when you're
that's
under,
cruel.
under 18, right? Under 18, and if you're enrolled in school, it's mandatory. You have to sit in the front row,
right?
And you have to watch the public execution.
Wow.
Therefore, gagging them, and then they start gagging them, right? And then also right after gagging them, like that wasn't even enough because people thrash, and just like trying to like say the worst. So now what they do, they just kind of like beat them half to death.
Oh,
and
my
then just
goodness.
like drag them
they're too weak and injured at this point to even speak.
To try anything. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the case with both public executions in Pyeongganam Suncheon시. So first thing was 돌가공장 지배인, right? So this is the manager.
Stonework factory.
Yeah, so the stone factory.
It was like the foreman
manager.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy who actually cut off the wires at the Suncheon.
Oh, right. Stole the copper wires to sell it. Okay.
To sell it, yeah. So yeah, like again, right? It's like there is that like heavy side of North Korean regime monitoring and mandating or like heavily punishing people who talks bad mouthing the regime, right? Like if you talk bad about like Kim Jong Il, I mean, that's like not just you, but your 3 generations of your family will be sent to political prison camp, right? I mean that's kind of like a common fact. Like it's a well-known fact now at this point, right?
Dang.
Because I mean,
right? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and like that's why like even parents, right? Even parents are really scared because they can't really say anything in front of their child, right? And there is also this idiom in North Korea too, saying 반말은 낱말은 새가 듣고 반말은 쥐가
That I
듣는다,
had
right?
it in Korea as well. South Korea,
in
yeah.
South Korea as
Uh-huh.
well. Okay, so that means like they talk. Birds would hear day talk, and rats would hear night talk, right? So
Yeah.
like even like you can't say anything.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, the idea, of course, in South Korea is just watch what you say. You don't know, you never know where what you said is gonna get somewhere. But of course, the consequence in South Korea is like, oh, your reputation or your job.
But
not
in North
3
Korea,
generations
yeah,
of safety.
yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this in like cheerful kind of way that your family will be executed if you were to say something bad about regime in front of your kids, right? Because
Wow.
like even the kids are encouraged, right, in school to actually come like rat it on their parents.
Right, because
Right,
they're
it's
taught
like-
that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do, and we
Wow.
have to be loyal to the regime, right? We have to always vigilant about protecting, right? It's like, is your parents like spy, right? Are they like a
Wow. Okay.
I don't know, like have you watched like the Stranger Things? Like,
I did.
right? And
yeah, I think so.
that show was like set in like the Cold War, and
Yeah.
how like American households were very like always alert about like
Communists.
yeah,
Yeah.
about the communism, right? And things
yeah.
like that. And I would say like North Korea is somewhat like that, but it's like it's aware of like Western countries. Like,
Oh.
are any of you working with like the Western
U.S. government, like, are you
Yeah.
CIA? Like, that's
yeah,
a real
or like
thing
even like
people worry
South
about?
Korea too. Like the
Right,
reason why
right, right.
도가공장 지배인 was executed was
Uh-huh.
because like they were like, oh, he's working with like South Korean government to like jeopardize our 주체사상,
Wow.
Um,
I mean, do you think there's much of truth to that? Do you think he was actually doing something? No.
I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
I don't think so.
Hmm.
Maybe it could have been, but at this point for me, like whatever the North Korean regime says, like it's
Take it with huge grain of salt.
yeah, it's like a gigantic, grain of salt. So I don't really like believe whatever they say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and also it's a thing too. Like there is very strict side of things when it comes to regime, right? When it
Right.
comes to like loyalty, like sayings that could question. Like whenever you say something like that, like whenever you say like like things that you say could be questionable about your loyalty. Like
Oh, I see. So so they can just take any kind of a thing that you said, even if you didn't mean much by anything. They can use that as an excuse and question you.
yeah,
Or
question you.
it's like, are you actually loyal, or are you
Because
trying to bad talk the regime, or
right, or you trying to betray us, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
because like information is everything, right? So that's what
Yeah.
they're trying to control. Like
right?
yeah, it's like if word gets out, right? It's like, what do you know about us, right? What do you know about North Korean like regime? Like do you? Because
Wow.
like remember again, like North Korean people doesn't know that they're oppressed. Like we don't
Right.
know that we, it's like I mean like
So as
when
far
I
as
was
you
in North
know, if
Korea-
you're fully brainwashed, like, you're living in paradise, ish.
well, not really a paradise. The
Yeah.
reason is because we want to be paradise. We're aiming for paradise,
Right. Okay.
but we're not quite there yet.
Oh, that's the narrative.
Because
okay.
because America,
Because the
because
Americans
America's
are sabotaging.
trying to enslave us. Therefore, we need to make more
Oh.
weapons to defend ourselves against the Americans. Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the narrative that North Korean regime
Oh.
is trying to keep.
That's
But
fascinating.
like
Okay.
when you know something and trying to spread the informations about the regime, right?
Uh-huh.
It's like 도둑이 제발저리다. It's like you know that saying, right?
That's
like,
right.
What's the equivalence of English?
Well, the thief limps his own leg. Like no one's suspecting. Here's how my understanding that idiom in particular. I always kind of piqued my interest because like, how is that the case? But now that I think about it, I mean, over time I've kind of reconciled it as like everyone's hanging out in a big group, and then this one dude who's like limping his leg. Like no one's suspecting him of any wrongdoing, but he's doing that because he stole something. He feels guilty and is paranoid about being singled out as the thief. So now he's like limping to signal that like I can possibly be a thief.
Yeah,
You know,
because I'm
lame.
like I'm
Yeah.
like limping.
Yeah. So, you know, North Korea obviously feels insecure about
North Korean regime. Like,
right, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Regime feels insecure about like how much information that because
They're controlling and they're letting out.
if
and
people know, the regime would fall, right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's you know, like I've also heard that like when I actually was in Thai prison, right? Because that's like when I met with like a lot of different North Korean defectors, and there was like sayings of like in Cheongjin, like there was like revolts that were happening, but North Korean regime just came in and just killed everyone, and then even like their
Whoa.
families too. So like and then it just
Wow.
like it was like
just
nothing
nipped it at the
happened.
bud.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
nothing happened.
Wow.
Right? And yeah, so there is that aspect, right? It's like there's super heavy about like what you say, and like especially when it comes to the regime and Kim Jong Il, Kim Il Sung, you know, and those Kim's family. Then there is like that 3 generation like wiping out kind of consequence,
Right.
and there is like things that you can't say, like for example like a K-pop, right? It's like
yeah.
like when I think about like the language, like because like a lot of people ask like, oh, what's the main difference between the North Korean language and South Korean language?
Yeah.
Are there any differences? And I say that to people, there is, because South Korea have been, you know, it's like they have been like influenced by the Western countries like America, for
That's
example.
right. Yeah.
And therefore like English is basically baked into their everyday life.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. Whereas North Korea, we don't.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah. A lot more
And-
native words.
Exactly. And then South Korean dramas, right, and K-pops, and that actually gets smuggled into North Korea, right? And South
Yeah.
Korean dramas and everything, like Gaoldonga, for example, it's really old, kind of like a show, but it still gets
Yeah.
go into North Korea.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there are a lot of people actually, North Korean defectors came forward and say, yeah, I've watched Titanic, you know, the Titanic, the American movie, right? And I've personally watched like the Hollywood, like James Bond and Bad Boy Swan. Anyway, so the dramas get smuggled into North Korea, and they watch it, and they actually try to copy.
Oh.
Like the South Korean, like the
That
words.
is very fascinating.
Right? And even though like people don't really know like what's like lunch, right? Like because Korean people like lunch 먹으러 가자. It's like, right? Like that's a thing. Like you can just say, oh yeah, let's go eat lunch, but lunch being like substituted as like
The Korean word.
Korean words is
yeah.
substituted to like lunch, right? And coffee, right? It's like coffee.
Or brunch. Yeah, brunch.
Brunch, yeah, brunch is
lunch, yeah.
So
Coffee. Oh wait, what's
Kopi.
coffee in North Korean then?
we don't have coffee.
Oh,
There is no word for coffee.
the word doesn't exist because the thing doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Mind
exactly.
is blown.
Yeah, and there's no hamburger either.
So people
There's
don't know
no
what
word
hamburgers
for
are.
hamburger.
Wow.
Yeah, there is no word for McDonald's. There is no
Well,
word for
that's true.
Burger
Starbucks?
King. Starbucks. so that's the thing too, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, kids, or I'm saying kids because I was a kid in North Korea,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
right.
my age group people, right? Like
Uh-huh.
millennials, like they think that it's really cool, and it's kind of like a code, right? Amongst people who actually
Oh.
watches the dramas, right? And
Becomes like a new generational language.
yeah, exactly. It's like a style. It's almost like
Yeah.
it's almost like a, you know, like a fashion is in, you know, and
Yeah.
out. And it's like kind of like a every year it changes to new things.
I see.
And in North Korea, you can see it as like, okay, so
you get to be part of the inner circle speaking the South Korean slang.
right, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's more of like a within the school. It happens a lot within the school,
Cool.
within the classroom too, right? Because like you pass like DVDs, right? Again, remember, watching South Korean drama in North Korea, that's a huge crime.
Right.
It's not just like you were streaming, you know, or you're going to Redbox, you know, the Redbox.
Oh, I do remember Redbox.
I think it's ran out of business now, right?
It's
like a
if-
Blockbuster or something like that.
I know, so sad.
I know,
But
yeah.
I think so. Speaking of the words or phrases that can get you into trouble, so that means that if you just like went around your school outwardly and said, "I watched,"
South Korean drama
Yeah.
or Gaol Donghua, then
Yeah.
you're like,
wow. So
Yeah.
okay, so walk us through this. So let's
Yeah.
say that somebody like this is outrageous, but somebody raised a question. Hey, Mr. Whatever teacher.
Yeah.
So I saw South Korean drama and they did this. Can you explain to me what's going on? What do you think would happen there?
They first will go to the principal.
Uh-huh.
You would be escorted to like the principal's like office, right?
Wow. Immediately.
Okay. They would question you, and they're not gonna punish you. They're gonna go capture your family, your parents.
So who's capturing? Was it the secret police?
Yeah, the boy will come, right? The principal then will send someone, because they could have phones, but yes, I think school had phones. They would phone directly, the boy would directly.
Wow.
And they're not gonna come capture you. They're gonna go to your house.
So school's gonna stitch on you immediately.
Immediately.
This kid's like
반동분자. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I mean. So if you say
kid's rebel, literally.
And things like that happen in North Korea.
Wow.
A lot. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, the education. I mean, in certain ways, a school is supposed to be a place that's really safe. The kids can talk about
It's a learning
anything.
ground, right?
Right?
It's
like
supposed to be like,
the kids should be able to talk about anything they're learning, ask any kind of questions. But
in North Korea, it's not a learning ground. It's a propaganda ground. It's about the place that you learn loyalty. Instead
to the regime.
Of
it's not education. It's
not
your
educational.
investing in yourself. It's the regime's investing in itself. Really.
Right. To actually make sure you are doing, you're like, I get this question a lot, right? It's like, is America becoming a dictatorship, right?
Oh yeah, especially right now.
Especially
right
now.
And you just laugh.
I have nothing to say. It's just like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why people say that, because like I don't know. It's like you can say whatever you want about the regime, about not the regime. I mean
about the government,
right?
Yeah.
And you can say directly what you don't like about your president. Just on the social media. Nothing bad will ever happen to you, right? You can say whatever you want.
Well, at scale, yeah. So
I mean, like, I want to, hit that. I mean, like, yeah, to a certain scale, right? Like, are you trying to be physically harmful to, like, it depending on, like, are you trying to be harmful to others?
Right. Well, yeah, that's not even what I'm talking about, Derek. Because this is interesting, because there are people who study authoritarian regimes that are, I think 3 of them got featured in, I forget what the journal media was, like New York Times or something like that, something that was pretty reputable. They came on the air and said, like, I study authoritarian regimes and I'm leaving United States because I see it going that direction.
Interesting.
So folks who spoke right in favor of Palestine, like, especially if they are a foreign national, it's just like some unmarked police people or the law enforcement came and detained them. So
I think I saw.
Yeah, you probably saw, because it made mainstream news. Like, does that make you feel in any kind of way like, oh, whoa, or is that still like, no, U.S. is still so far from North Korea? It's like you're not really worried.
It's a bit stretched. I personally feel like it's a stretch, because like you can do whatever you want. Like the level of dictatorship that I've seen is. It's like nowhere. It's a day and night.
North Korea is pretty extreme.
No, yeah, I mean, like, and then people are saying, yeah, America is becoming like North Korea. Like,
oh yeah, that's definitely a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, right? So it's kind of like the things that we can say. It's a lot different here in America.
That's very true. Right? You still get to say whatever you want, and I also heard that North Korea. A lot of places are wiretaps. Like, there are little bugs that the Boibu can listen. The secret police can listen to what you're saying.
That's like hotels.
Oh, I see. Hotels.
And remember, regular people don't go to hotels.
That's true.
In North Korean people, like, we don't go grocery stores.
Yeah.
And we don't go sleep at hotels. Like, that's only for foreigners and visitors, right? And so I assume that it's true. Because that's for sure. But how North Korean regime is monitoring its people,
like the regular people,
is through people.
Wow.
Right? They plant moles, right? And also, here's the thing too. Like, I've seen, right? It's like there are a couple of, like, for example, like, this is what the journalists do, right? They were like, like they would come to you with like, hey, I have this story, and can you give some kind of quotes
That's right.
about this kind of I'm
Uh-huh.
talking about this topic, and then you just like, oh, give a quote, and they don't actually list out what you say, but they actually use your word to actually fit their narrative, right? So they just use
They
what
cherry pick.
right, they cherry pick what,
Uh-huh.
and then they just fit that into their story, right?
So the North
And-
Korean journal. Are you talking about North Korean
No,
journalists?
American
Regular-
journalists.
American journalists.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's called clickbaits, right? It's like
Oh, I
you,
see.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
make it like super like rage bait, and then this person actually confirmed that, and but when you actually dig deeper into it, that's not what that person said. That's not what that person said
I
at
see.
all.
It's like this movie star said he's gonna kill everybody in his movie.
Yeah. So it's like the reason why I say that is because what North Korea do, right, is they actually plant like these kind of people, like house, like a 인민반회, and you don't know, like a Secret Hitler, for example.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
you know the game Secret Hitler,
Yes,
right?
I do. Yeah.
And they actually like come in and act like they're kind of like on the bad side. So like, let's for example, like, oh yeah, I watched this foreign media, it was
So
super
they say
good.
that. Oh,
it was like, oh, I watched like 가을 동화.
So are they
and
trying to test like who's gonna fall for it?
Exactly. They actually plant those people, right?
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
They're
Exactly.
trapping
It's
their
a
own
trap.
people. Okay, wow.
It's a trap. And then like, oh yeah, so actually they have a quota as well. So if you get more people, then like they do it because of the social and economic rankings, right? So like oh yeah, like 노동당에 가입할 수 있다.
So those people who are working as snitches and moles have very high incentive, because if they do well in trapping their own
neighbors,
their friends,
yeah,
then they get to go up in their ranking.
That's right.
Wow,
that's right.
that's
And 노동당에 가입하면 it's like if you get to join the North Korean Workers' Party, that means they have a shot at moving up in the caste system, right? So so that's like a real thing, right?
Right.
And yeah, so they come to you and they're like, hey, I've watched this. It's super good. Like, what did you think? Like, did you watch it? Like, like how many? Like, do you have a friends group? Like,
they're fishing for the answers. Like, yes, I watched it, and now they can snitch on it.
Yeah,
wow,
and then I said, oh
evil.
yeah, and that's the thing too, because like that's why you don't actually share like whatever you watched outside of your friends
very
group.
tight trusted groups. You know exactly where your friend came from, therefore you're gonna share with him,
right
your friends still
but
kids.
you don't tell anybody that you did that, right?
So it's never
And
an open thing.
It's never open thing.
Never to a stranger.
There's nothing is like open.
Wow.
Like even sometimes within the friends group, like there is a limit where we just stop, right? Like even like you are like you grew up like and you spent your entire life with your best friend. There is a limit.
That's how much you share.
Yeah, of like how much you share. Like
wow.
that is the regime. Like
yeah, because your life is on the line. Not only your life, but your family's life is on the line. My goodness.
So it's a constant stress about like what you share, like what you want to like talk about in North Korea. Like yeah, sure, we talk about like we would talk about like Chinese movies, USSR
that's
movies.
okay.
Like that's okay because like those are like a North Korean like a North Korean government approved,
yeah.
right? And Disney movies, we talked about it too, and a lot of it is just
that's
I
fascinating.
guess like a ramblings too, like there's not that much like ambitious conversations, like because that's the thing too, like in America, like you can choose your like you can you can do what you choose to do, right?
That's true.
Like for
You
example, if
pick
you
your
want to study
career.
computer science, like you're gonna talk about that with your friends, right? But in North Korea, we don't do that. Like we don't get to choose what we want to study. We don't get to choose our job, right? It's all about when you go to military, right? So you go to military when you're 17, right? And you get out when you're 29, right? Well, back in the days, you get out at 27, but they extended two more years. So 29,
12 years,
and you go to military, and then you learn your job skills in military because they force you to do like constructions, weldings, and like 목수, like a carpenter, and they force you to do that. So you learn some of that, and then you come back, and the government assigns you a job.
So kids
right?
don't like. It's really easy, right? It's such a common question to go up to a kid and be like, "Hey, like, what do you want to be when you grow up?" So that's not a
So here's the
conversation?
thing,
Like,
right?
what do you, yeah.
So I think I talked about this like a while back.
Yeah.
One of our episodes, like in America, right? If
Yeah.
you were to walk up to one of those kids, middle school kids, like, what do
Yeah.
you want to be when you grow up? I bet you,
Yeah, I remember that now.
yeah, they're gonna say, oh, I want to be president. Oh, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. Or I want to be
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like a cool kid,
A lawyer,
a
or
lawyer,
a professional
a
surfer,
doctor. In North Korea, kids are gonna say they want to be the human shield of Kim Jong Il.
I remember you talking about that in one
Right.
of our very first episodes.
Yeah,
That was your dream at age, what, 7?
yeah. When I was like
Yeah.
super young.
So
like,
we're
really,
not
really
talking
young.
about like career aspirations. Is you're like
No.
ideologically trained to
to
sacrifice
serve,
yourself,
yeah,
for
to
serve the regime.
serve
Yeah,
the
you're
communism.
zealots.
Yeah, zealots. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So it's it's a
Age 7.
different. It's a completely different world.
Yeah.
Like and the reason why sometimes I just have so hard time explaining things to regular people is because like I'm
Right.
trying to find the easiest way
Uh-huh.
to explain certain things, but I can't find it because
It doesn't
just
yeah,
doesn't
there's
exist.
no parallel here.
There's nothing like
I
that in
see.
America, So
Uh-huh.
it's always the conundrum, It's like, how do I explain this, So yeah, it's a completely different world, and where saying something wrong, right? So let's just rank it, like let's rank them, right?
All right.
So okay, so we all know talking bad about Kim Jong Il,
Right, the Kim
or
family.
Kim's family,
Uh-huh.
that's like
The S
3
tier.
generations, like the the S tier.
The evidence of you is being wiped off the planet.
Exactly. Like
okay.
not just you, but your
Right.
3 generations,
yeah. Right.
right?
Uh-huh.
And then there is like talking bad about the Juche ideology.
Oh,
right?
the ideology.
Ideology.
Okay.
If you question the Juche ideology, that is also 3 generations of not an execution, but a political prison
so
camp.
Like A tier. A
Yeah,
plus tier.
A
Okay.
plus tier, right? And then anything that is related to politics,
Oh.
anything that related to like questioning the politics, like besides like
So what would be an example? Like, could something like like
I don't
talking
like
about the voting system?
no voting system. Yeah, that's like a huge, like, you have to go to voting system, and you
Uh-huh.
can't question. I wonder why there is only one person.
What if I can write my name in?
Yeah, that would be like that would be like A plus tier kind of like,
Okay,
questionable
yeah.
thing too,
Almost
right?
treason.
Yeah, almost like no, it is
Probably
a treason. It is a
Okay. Oh my
treason.
gosh. Yeah.
Anything that is related to like like a questioning government, that's like
Uh-huh.
like a no go zone,
Uh-huh.
right? And then the next kind of tier down from like the A plus, right? A
Yeah.
plus, and then S tier. The A would be like talking about foreign culture, like talking about
I
like
see. Okay.
watching South Korean dramas or listening to K-pop,
Which
like
one's
with
worse?
the random people,
Oh,
right? With the
okay.
random
People
people,
who could be snitches. Is that
who could be snitches.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm trying to think. I think that's like, other than that, like, there is not much to it other than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So besides that, I mean, of course, you're constantly living under pressure and then
Right.
and yearning for freedom, but like, do I dare say that besides those lines, as long as you don't cross the line, there is some
Like
freedom?
you get to say like, oh yeah, I'm hungry.
Oh, okay.
Like.
I have to go to the bathroom.
No, I mean like things like, okay, so my my half brother's wife's dad,
Uh-huh.
he used to say in front of us, right?
Yeah.
We weren't this hungry even during the Japanese
Mm.
colonial. Like that
Right.
says a lot.
Which is true, right? Yeah, I know
Right,
that's
yeah,
true. Yeah.
that's true, because like those people, like during the Japanese like those people grew up, right,
Mhm.
in the
Yep.
Japanese colonial. And I heard that, like, did you tell me this the other day? Like when they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki, when the Japanese surrendered, like people who are actually born and raised in that time where they're trying to wipe out like the Korean culture.
That's right.
They actually cried.
Right. So the students in the classroom, when Denno's,
Oh, yeah.
radio broadcast came on, like teachers would go like, "Yay!" Right? The Korean, the older adults, but kids were like crying in the classroom. I heard a story of that because to them, their identity was they're Japanese. They're Japanese, second class citizens, but still, they were the royal subjects of the Denno. So
right. Yeah. See, yeah. But I mean, like the whole Kim Il Sung's like, he's like their like narrative is built on defeating Japanese and kicking out Japanese from Korea, right? But well, I guess it's also that like he only said it to the family, right? And he's like, and then we just like didn't really care, and nobody probably listened.
But he said what to the family?
No, I mean like we weren't this hungry even during the Japanese colonial.
Oh, yeah, right.
No, but that could get you killed.
Oh.
You know why? Because he's actually saying that I missed the Japanese colonial. Japanese rule of time was better.
I see. So you're that I guess it must have been a grandfather figure would have only said that amongst
within
the family.
Within the family setting.
Didn't really say anywhere else.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But so there's like yeah, I mean other than that, like you literally people are like struggling to provide for their families, right? So there is like no time to chit chat about like internet, or like internet drama,
No Kardashians there.
No Kardashians too,
no gossip. Okay.
So, but I mean, like there are some like like gossiping of like, oh yeah, I heard that like that husband cheated on somebody's wife, or like cheated with somebody's wife,
the human life shenanigans,
and shenanigans. Those kind of things exist. But here is also.
But that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean that doesn't really matter.
You can talk bad about your neighbor. What if that neighbor's like,
higher
one though?
Higher up in the rank.
Yeah.
That you don't.
Then you don't talk bad about those people.
About those people. Like it's just like within your class.
Oh,
within your class. Yeah.
I see. But
know your limits. It's like
so you know what's happened with the higher class people, but you don't talk about it.
Yeah. It's like we know that house right there. Like every single house in our neighborhood is dark, but that one house has a light on, right? And every time we walk across that house, we smell like meat.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
We smell something good,
but
we don't talk about it.
You don't talk about it
because we know what's happening in that house. But if we do dare to say something, then like that person is a boy. Like that person works.
They have the power to really mess up your life.
Exactly.
He's the secret police.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's also another thing is that ever since like the K-pop, right? The South Korean drama started flooding into North Korea. Culture has been changing a lot too.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Like
so tell us more. How is it changing?
Yeah, so here's like here's like a really big like like we used to joke this in amongst like our friend, like really close group friends. Right? Our neighbor kids gets together and then joke about it. But so this one guy is walking right at night, just like whistling, and then if he eventually whistles something like a South Korean song from a South Korean drama, right? It's like whistling and singing along, and then he notices this like a dark figure behind him, just like closing in on him. Right? It's like, oh shoot, that might be like the secret police. I'm gonna get caught, and I'm gonna go to like prison. So he's like thinking about that, and he's just walking faster and faster and faster. And then the person behind is like chasing him like faster and faster and faster. And then like he eventually realizes it is the Boanon, right? It is the secret police. And then eventually he tries to like go into like the back alley and trying to get away. And eventually he's cornered. And then this Boanon like actually like comes to you and then says, "You don't sing it like that. You sing it like this." And then this person, you did it wrong. And this person is start to sing it, right? So that's like kind of like an insider joke that like
everyone's in on it.
Everyone's are watching it now.
Wow.
Like everyone,
that's
like
really strong influence.
Yeah. So when I was like 13 to 14, like the 1 year, like I guess like 12 to 14. So that 2 years, it was just like everywhere, right?
Uh-huh.
And North Korean regime knew that they're watching it too.
Right, because I mean, let's be honest. I'm sure the Kim family watched it too, because those are good shows.
Yeah. I mean, South Korean dramas
Nothing
are
wrong
pretty
with
good.
them watching it.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's only when the people, does it, like regular people.
So that's
does it.
interesting. So everyone's doing it, but no one's talking about it. Not at least openly.
Not
Yeah,
openly, but we
interesting.
talk about it like quietly,
Quietly.
right? But here's the thing too:
Uh-huh.
once you get captured,
Yeah.
right? You can still bribe it out, right?
Yeah.
But depending on how much money can you afford,
Uh-huh.
right? If you can't afford to pay out the bribes, they will make an example out of you.
Oh, I see. So
Right,
there's
so
always that risk.
Yeah. So it's like depending on like how much money that you can actually pay,
Uh-huh.
or depending on how many people that you've watched the South Korean drama with,
Uh-huh.
and how many people that you talk to,
Mm.
right? How many people are you spreading this information to,
Uh-huh.
right? So the more people, the greater the punishment is.
I
Right,
see.
so-
So you poison the society with
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like
enemy's content.
right. Yeah. So it's like
Ah.
you are poisoning the entire like generations of Koreans, and you're a
I
bad
see.
blood.
It's not necessarily that the Boibu people are like so purely minded and have hearts for the regime. It's just it's in some way like they get to have a good life by accepting bribes
That's the thing too. Like they can't really survive just on
with whatever salary they're getting.
It's not a salary. It's a
It's ration, huh?
exactly.
It's not
yes.
money.
It's not money that
They
they're
just give you
looking.
food
They're out
and
for.
not
yeah.
enough food.
There's so you don't get paid money in North Korea.
I see what you mean there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
it's-
there's no
it's a
parallel to kind of try to get people who are not from this world to understand how different it is.
Socialism. Yeah, you get. So you serve right the North Korean regime, and
Mhm.
they in return they take care of you. That everything should be free. Like they give you
I see.
food.
At least that was the
housing, and
idea. Yeah.
what's left of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, so Mike, so if you're actually gonna go to North Korea, you gotta watch out what you say.
I better, because the day talk with the birds will hear, and the night talk the
Yeah.
rats will hear.
Yeah.
So now I know.
because of your short tongue, your long neck.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Well, all right. I think it's finally time for us to conclude our first episode in a long time.
Yeah, I hope you found that this is more relevant and also somewhat interesting to what we intended the show to be. These are definitely challenging things that people are living
Yeah.
through every day. I mean,
Yeah.
Charles has a gift of telling these stories in a really lighthearted manner, but it doesn't necessarily mean that these are
a
lighthearted
manner.
topics. So, yeah, I mean, thanks for being interested in it. I think the hope that we have to be able to change this for those people who are suffering from it is that there are people out here who are interested in the stories. So, thank you, listeners, always.
Yep. Thank you so much, listeners. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.